Park at 14050 Olympic Drive, Clearlake, California. I have a roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilmember Wilson,
Present.
Councilmember Hooton,
Here.
Councilmember Kramer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Downey,
Here.
and Mayor Slutin.
Here. And I. To the flag of the United States. To the republic which stands one nation. Remain standing. Vice Chair Downey.
Yeah, I'd like to hold a special moment of silence. There's a local, not community member, he doesn't live here, but he's the sports editor for Lake County Sports and also used to be the editor for Lake County Record B. His son passed away May 1st of brain cancer, and he was only 33 years old. So let's hold a moment silent for Brian and his son, Josh. Thank you.
Okay, this is kind of the meeting procedures here. All items on the agenda will be open for public comments before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to introduce written material into the record at public meeting on any item are requested to provide a copy of the written material to the Administrative Service Director / City Clerk prior to the meeting, so the material may be distributed to the City Council prior to the meeting. Speakers must restrict comments to the items as it appears on the agenda and stay within 3-minute time limit. The mayor has the discretion of limiting the total discussion time for any item, and the council cannot answer questions or provide comments while a citizen is giving their public comment. Once your comment is complete, the mayor may refer you to staff for a follow-up. And if you're on Zoom, please note that only written comments will be taken via the Q&A chat feature. Please enter your comments in that box. Thank you. We'll go now to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No modifications, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. We'll go now to our voting portal. Okay, we'll move now to presentations. If the vote is.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
I had an idea that might. All right, we go now to the first proclamation declaring May 3rd to 8th, 2026 as Small Business Week. Whereas Americans' progress has been driven by pioneers who think big, take risks, and work hard. And whereas from the storefront shops that anchor our downtown area to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstone of our nation's promise. And whereas small business owners and downtown businesses have energy and passion for what they do, when we support small businesses, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas, because this country, 36 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of every 3 jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve to create jobs and spur the economic growth without discussing ways to support entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other agencies. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2026 is designated as Small Business Week in the city of Clearlake, signed by me. as of today is, I believe there might be some people that might want to take this accommodation proclamation. Thank you for honoring our small businesses during Small Business Week. This week is about acknowledging the backbones of our local economy and honoring the people who keep it moving forward. My name is Don Smith. I'm the president of Lake County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here with local small business owner Tim Biasotti. I often wondered about this concept of the backbone, small businesses. You hear that often. And I often wonder, well, how is that determined? And it was in one of our joint overlapping board sessions with the EDC and the Lake County Chamber of Commerce that we were presented, had a presentation that informed us, educated us. We laughed, we cried. It was powerful. Your city manager, Alan Flora, with the city manager of Lakeport, presented how taxes work within the city structure, within the county. And stepping away from that, you really understand that the role of small businesses in communities is key and important. So thank you again for this acknowledgement. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, go to the second one. This is a proclamation declaring May 11 through 17, 2026 as Police Week. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in the communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Clearlake Police Department. Whereas the first recorded death in 1786, more than 2,400 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the name of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial in Washington, D.C., whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of all the fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flags will be flown at half-staff. Therefore, it be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Clearlake formally designates May 11 through 17, 2026 as Police Week in the City of Clearlake and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in the communities across the nation. Signed by me. I can find my pen. Mr. Chief Ops, would you like to receive this, or
I have some staff that'll come up. I would like to add a few words though, real quick.
please?
National Police Week serves as an important reminder of the dedication, professionalism, and courage demonstrated daily by law enforcement officers across the country and here within the Clearlake Police Department. I want to personally thank each of our officers for the work they do every day to keep our communities safe. The job is demanding, often unpredictable, and requires professionalism, sound judgment, and commitment under difficult circumstances. Whether responding to emergencies, supporting victims, solving problems, or simply maintaining a visible presence in the community, your efforts make a meaningful difference in the lives of people we serve. I want everyone to take a moment this week to reflect on the significance of this profession and to remember those officers who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. I appreciate everyone in our department's continued dedication, professionalism, and the service to the City of Clearlake and the Police Department.
Thank you.
Supervisor Sabatier thought maybe we should remind everyone that May 15th is the Fallen Peace Officer event at Library Park at 5:30 p.m.
We go now to Public Service Recognition Week, a proclamation. Whereas our nation progress has long been fueled by the efforts of selfless citizens who come together in service of their fellow Americans to change our country for the better. And whereas during Public Service Recognition Week, we honor those who dedicate themselves to ensuring America's promise rings true in every corner of our country. And we recommit to upholding values that fight for these every day. And whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels, including employees of the city of Clearlake, these unsung heroes do the work that keeps our city working. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible for a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Day in and day out, they provide a diverse service demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby designate May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as Public Service Appreciation Week in the City of Clearlake. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishment and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, and city, signed by me. Is there anybody that wants to? Okay, we go now to presentation of a proclamation declaring May 2026 as Military Appreciation Month. Whereas the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness enumerates in our Declaration of Independence, secured by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and enjoyed by every citizen of the United States, are the direct results of members of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas the sacrifice by the members of the United States Armed Forces and family members who support them preserve the liberties that enrich our nation, our state, and our city. Whereas our citizens have a proud history of service in the United States Army Forces in both times of peace and at times of war. And whereas many citizens of the city of Clearlake continue to serve on active duty and in the National Guard and the reverse components of the United States Armed Services, and therefore now be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby wish to recognize and honor all members of the United States Armed Services, past and present, as well as their families, for their service, sacrifice, and hereby designates May 2026 as Military Appreciation Month in the City of Clearlake. Further, we encourage all citizens to show our gratitude by the appropriate display of flags and ribbons during this designated period. Signed by me, Mayor of Clearlake. Sir, would you like to come up? Is there anybody that wants to? Next item of presentations from Lower Lake High School Statistics and Probability Class Blue Zone Project.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Widener, and I am a math teacher at Lower Lake High School and a Lower Lake High School alumni. For the last 4 years, we have been doing a project in my class that we teamed up with Blue Zones Project Lake County for. In this project, students are encouraged to come up with questions related to health and wellness about issues that they think are facing the student populations at Lower Lake High School. Through the project that takes about a month and change, they actually survey about a fifth of the student population. They do a huge statistical analysis, coming up with their own inferences, and present it to a panel of community leaders in order to advocate for change. So one of the things I really want my students to understand is that it shouldn't be, woe is us, look at how awful everything is, but instead understanding that data can be used to make change and real change that impacts their lives. And so through this process, this year we had 16 different teams present last week on a variety of topics, everything from AI usage to substance abuse. We had a project about the fact that our teenagers are driving unlicensed. Very rampantly through the community. And we had ones on wildfire evacuations, on everything that is truly an issue to them. And so tonight I've brought with me 3 lovely ladies. One of our girls could not make it, she was working, but I've got Ariana, Emberlyn, and Lily, and they're gonna be doing a short presentation for you, what they did for the panel, talking about energy drink consumption, which is something that's impacting all of our students in this community. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the floor for them to share their statistics with all of you.
Hello, and thank you so much for the invitation to present. My name is Lily Milano, and my partners are Emberlyn Weiss and Ariana Milano. Our research question for for our project was, at what age did LLHS students begin drinking energy drinks regularly?
Our project relates to the Power 9 component downshift. Having the time to rest, relax, and have a regular sleep schedule improves memory, focus, and learning, while promoting a stronger immune response, reduces risk of chronic conditions like heart disease and diabetes, increases energy and daytime alertness, and enables athletic performance, all of which contribute to a longer, healthier life. 44.4% of students surveyed said they drink energy drinks for energy to get through the day. This can lead to crashes and can make it harder to relax and unwind at the end of the day. Our population was focused on Lower Lake High School students in 9th through 12th grade. We sampled each grade randomly and got results from 207 LLHS students.
We identified 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade along with male and female subpopulations. We sampled the total population by randomly selecting students to survey them.
Students were asked the following questions. At what age did they first begin drinking energy drinks? How often do they drink energy drinks? What brands do they prefer? Which type do they consume the most? Why are they drinking energy drinks? Do their parents allow them to drink energy drinks? And do they think energy drinks are unhealthy?
Looking at our population as a whole, we found a mean of 12.42, a median of 13, a mode of 13, and a range of 5 through 19. We calculated the interquartile range to be 3, with the middle being 50% of our data existing between 5 and 19, which can be seen visually on our box and whisker plot. Lastly, we found our standard deviation to be 2.65, which means we have a window from 9.76 to 15.06, where 68% of the population exists.
Now, based on our data, the average Lower Lake High School student begins drinking energy drinks at the age of 13, with ages ranging between 5 and 19 years old. 78.3% of students at LLHS are currently drinking energy drinks regularly.
Male and female students are both beginning to drink energy drinks around the same age. We saw no significant difference between the two genders. However, the current freshman class was beginning to drink energy drinks at a younger age than other classes. This shows that energy drinks are becoming more of an issue at younger ages, and if not addressed, the statistics will get worse. Our study was limited by the time we had to collect data and the goals we needed to reach within our surveys. As a result, our sample size was not fully representative of all Lower Lake High School students, since we were unable to survey all of them. However, the survey was still conducted randomly. We were unable to make a comparison for students who listed their gender as other, since there were not enough individuals in the sample. We had 97 males, 107 females, but only 3 individuals who classified their gender as other.
Every Wednesday and Thursday, I have to walk up to Lower Lake Elementary as a student assistant for a 6th grade class. Being in this environment, I see firsthand the effects energy drinks are having on our youth. Just within a short 30-minute class period, these children are consuming a concerningly excessive amount of energy drinks. Last week at our event, we proposed the panel to implement a ban on energy drinks at every elementary school in the district. Considering that the most common age to begin drinking energy drinks is 13, we should be targeting the middle school for education on energy drink consumption before they start. We also said LLHS should bring in a nutritionist to freshman foundations or PE to speak with students about energy drinks and the effects of caffeine on the body so that high schoolers are better prepared to make healthy choices. We had created flyers to post and hang around at every school, bringing attention to the unhealthy ingredients in just one energy drinks. The flyer describes the negative effects caffeine has on the body.
We would like to thank you all for the invitation and for listening to our presentation today and hearing us out. We know how busy the day can be, and we appreciate the time you have given us. We will now open the floor for questions from the council.
Is on the back, the 2 flyers that you have, that you made? Is it on the back of them? Yes, they're. You might want to show that to the council here. So no more coffee for me, huh?
So what effect did that have then on the 6th grade class or elementary? Was it banned based on your comments or?
No, it wasn't. We just proposed this actually last week.
Okay. You get them talking?
So I think on the other side is the proposal.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Might want to show it a little closer for us, and we'll be good. Yeah, bring us closer to it.
Yeah, much closer.
Yeah, we can read.
Sorry. Yeah.
So on that panel, we had members from Adventist Health, from Redwood, Redbud Health. We had members, Mayor Slutin was there, administrators, the superintendent. And so they come up with these proposals, right? And they're using this as their jump off point, right? So we really hope that is, something like saying, hey, no energy drinks at the elementary school. Like that seems like it should be common knowledge, right? But like Ariana said, the kids are drinking them. If there's no rules saying no, and it is hard. There's a big difference between a 6th grader and, a kindergartner, but they're on the same campus, and at the middle school, I can only imagine it's so much worse. So the nice thing is, there's data that backs this. The nice thing is everyone on that panel walks away with these handouts, and it allows the conversation to continue going. And I know for our superintendent, she keeps each and every one of those handouts, and it almost becomes her checklist of keep going back. What do we need to continue to address? I also know that they get sent out to all the teachers at Lower Lake High School so that they can see, not only what were the kids' findings, but how do they think that we can, move forward and make some real change.
I attended the morning session, and amazing kids you got over there. Amazing kids. Come up with great solutions to somewhat, societal problems. So great.
I just want to praise you for making math relatable and usable and something that can really make everybody really understand. And I think it's great how you're leading these kids.
They could clap our hands.
Thank you.
All right. We go now to public comment. This is the time for any member of the public to address the city council on matters not on the agenda. That is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person The council cannot answer questions or provide comments while a citizen is giving their public comment. Once your comments are complete, the mayor may refer you to staff for follow-up. I have a couple of people here that gave me a little card. We have Mr. Willie Long. Would you come up, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Willie Long. I'm the president and commander for American Legions here in Clearlake. The issue I'm coming up here about a year ago, I came in at our address at 14770 Austin Road. You have a viaduct that's behind it where they collect water, so on and so forth. And it's right adjacent to the fire training unit. My problem at the time was that the fence had been taken down by the homeless people and they were occupying it during the summertime, and then in the wintertime they take off. I made an agreement with them, I thought, with the city that we would put cameras over the area to cover it and they would replace their fencing. They never did replace the fencing. What has happened since then, we got an agreement with the police department at one point where they would come in and if we had a problem with people there, we call them, they immediately come over and they would investigate the situation, so on and so forth. The last time we had them come over to check the place, within 45 minutes after they had evicted the people, a fire was started right there. Well, I said that they're not going to replace the fence until somebody dies over there. Well, on the second, they pulled the body out of there. I would appreciate if the city somewhere along the line send their people over there. It's only about 40 feet of fencing that needs to be replaced and replace that fence so people can't have access to that area and get that area cleaned up. Or else you'll probably see more bodies over there.
Thank you. We have, is it Crystal? Back?
Mayor is a member of the council. Good evening. My name is Crystal Pack. I stood here on March 19th and again on April 2nd. I'm back tonight because the city is layering obstruction on top of records tampering. I'm now unable to email Chief Tim Hobbs or the records supervisor Chelsea Banks. My emails are bouncing back despite successful communication in the past to this council. Your silence is not a shield. And in the eyes of the Supreme Court, the right to petition the government is the cornerstone of our liberty. When you block a citizen's email and withhold public records, you are actively violating the First Amendment. I've cross-referenced two official responses provided for 3642 Sycamore Street, one from 2023 and one from this past March. They do not line up. The timelines and facts are in direct conflict. This city's own paperwork provided government records that had been altered under the California Government Section Code 6200. The falsification of public records by an official is a felony. I am naming Chief Tim Hobbs, former Chief Andrew White, Sergeant Michael Perrault, Officer Lee Lambert, Officer Stephen Felder, Officer Lopez, and Supervisor Chelsea Banks. These are just some of the individuals responsible for violations at my property and the withholding of the metadata that would expose the truth. Because this city failed to comply with my first request, I have submitted a second CPRA request to give the city one more chance to uphold the law. If the unredacted audit trails and metadata I requested in February are not in my hands by Monday, May 11th, deadline, I will be escalating these matters to the proper departments, including the District Attorney's Office, the Board of Supervisors, and State Senator Mike McGuire. I have conflicting responses in my possession. I am now waiting for the metadata to show exactly whose digital fingerprints are on the felony. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else wants to make some public comments? Is in the chamber?
Hi, Margaret Garcia, City of Clearlake. How's everyone? It's been a few weeks.
I just wanted to mention, I don't know if anyone has been at the Safeway Shopping Center, in the evenings, say 11 o'clock or after. There has been just a progressively worse amount of people that loiter around there. They are kind of, I don't know if you call them zombie-like, but they're just waiting for someone. I'm not exactly sure, but it only takes a minute to take a look and you could see what's going on. There happened to be an officer driving through the other night, and so I flagged him down, and I was happy to see them driving through the parking lot, you know, at least being somewhat proactive. But I just wanted to bring that to folks' attention. I'm sure some of you are aware of it. Thank you.
Anybody else in the chamber here that wants to have it? Public? If not, is there anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Now move to the consent calendar. Anybody wants to pull any item of that?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make it a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll
Need
second.
to ask first if there's anybody
Oh.
in the public wants to comment on any of those. If not, please spread your motion.
Again, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a second.
Yes, I'll second.
Yeah, a motion and a second. Please go to the portal and submit your vote. Okay, we go to, after this vote is
Wait a minute.
tabulated.
Wait a minute.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Great. We go to item number 9, public hearing on discussion and consideration of resolution 2026-14 authorizing the extension temporary road closures of certain roads to reduce illegal dumping and to protect environment and the public health. Mr. Flora.
Lieutenant Peterson and Director Leyva will do the staff report on meetings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, staff is presenting agenda item 9 regarding the extension of temporary road closures within several areas of the city. These closures were implemented to address ongoing illegal dumping, unlawful activity, environmental degradation, and public safety concerns. Road closures have been utilized in multiple areas of the city since 2020 pursuant to California Vehicle Code Section 21101.4. These closures were implemented in response to persistent illegal dumping, unsafe activity, encampment debris, environmental impacts, and fire hazards. The city installed gates, K-rail barriers, and other access control measures to limit unauthorized vehicle access. Since implementation, staff has observed measurable improvements in overall conditions. In November 2025, the City Council authorized roadway closures following a public hearing to further address illegal dumping and related unlawful activity. Since that time, staff has continued maintaining barriers, gates, and access controls throughout the affected areas. The closures have proven effective in reducing unauthorized access and improving the city's ability to manage and monitor these locations. Gobi Desert. This slide identifies the area commonly referred to as the Gobi Desert, which is largely undeveloped section of the city bounded by Acacia Street, Sonoma Avenue, Park Street, and East Lake Drive. Road closures include portions of Oleander, Mint, Peony, Toyon, Oregon Streets, and Burns Valley Road. Prior to this closure, the area experienced repeated illegal dumping and unlawful activity. Staff has observed significant reductions in unauthorized access and environmental impacts since the closures were implemented. And on the screen is the map. These photographs and maps provide examples of the closure locations and existing conditions within the Gobi Desert area. The physical access controls have substantially reduced vehicle traffic into these undeveloped areas and helped minimize illegal dumping activity.
Ma'am, if you could please maintain some decorum. Ma'am, please.
You can have your time to come to the podium when it's time for public comments on this item, ma'am. Thank you.
At this time, Lieutenant Peterson will discuss conditions observed in the flats area and the related enforcement and public safety concerns.
This slide highlights the area commonly referred to as the flats located north of Dam Road. Road closures were initially implemented in this area in June of 2022. However, the closures were not renewed. The proposed closure area includes roadways between 2nd Avenue and 12th Avenue, extending from East Drive to Wilkinson. These roads historically provided unsecured access in areas heavily impacted by dumping and encampment activity. This image shows conditions with, next slide. So these images shows conditions within the flat areas as well as some of the closure locations. Purpose of these closures is to restrict unauthorized access and support ongoing cleanup, enforcement, public safety efforts. And during coordinated field assessment, staff documented widespread illegal dumping, abandoned RVs and trailers, encampment debris, and significant environment degradation throughout the Flats and Dam Road area. More than 200 cubic yards of debris were identified, along with numerous inoperable vehicles, RVs, trailers, etc. These conditions are also created significant fire hazards in the area already vulnerable to wildfire concerns. These photographs provide examples of the conditions encountered during site assessment and cleanup operations, including abandoned vehicles, debris piles, encampment-related waste, and illegal dumping throughout the area. The additional photograph documents further illustrates the scale of severity of dumping and environmental impact that exists prior to cleanup and access control efforts.
Slide. This slide highlights some of the coordinated cleanup operations conducted by Public Works. These efforts required substantial staff time, equipment, and ongoing maintenance of gates, barriers, and closure points.
Code enforcement and police department also coordinate enforcement and monitoring efforts throughout this area. Since implementation of the closure and cleanup operations, staff has observed measurable improvement in area conditions and reduction in illegal activity.
Based on the effectiveness of these closures in reducing illegal dumping and protecting environmental quality, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 2026-14, authorizing the extension of temporary road closures.
Staff has also determined these closures remain necessary to support ongoing public safety enforcement and prevention efforts. Existing closures have not substantially adversely affected traffic flow, city services, or surrounding neighborhoods. Combining all three closure areas into one action will also allow for more efficient management and future renewals pursuant to the vehicle code.
That concludes staff's presentation. Lieutenant Peterson and I are available to answer any questions from council.
Any questions from staff?
Mr. Mayor, real quick, the one thing I would add is there's been a number of small fires that have been initiated over the years in these areas, but also both boils and cash fire were initiated by illegal activity in these areas that we're discussing.
I do have a question. The closures you're going to use, what are you going to use? Concrete barriers?
So the closures have already all happened. Okay.
Out on the
yeah,
avenues as well?
right. This is just coordinated. So these were all done as 3 separate actions. And the one out in the avenues, the closure pursuant to the vehicle code, which is required to be renewed every 18 months, expired. And so we would like to combine all 3 of them as one, so it's a little bit easier to track and make sure. But we did open up access to the area out off of Dam Road because of the expired resolution. But with the council's approval tonight, that will be closed again immediately. And I should point out, because we do get questions about this sometimes, property owners who are required to access their property for maintenance and compliance with city codes. The city does provide access. We have a number of gates that have been provided. The fire department has access, law enforcement has access, and they will have continued access for maintenance of the property.
The reason I ask about that, I know there's the one one road that goes out, just before you get to Betts Lane. There's a house on Dam Road, and then there's a road, or dirt road that goes back in there. That seems to be open. Is that one of the ones that you?
Well, we have to provide access to legal residents, so that road is still open, but it's blocked off to the west.
Because that was one that definitely had trash piled up at the
Yeah,
end.
we had some holes in the barrier, but they've been fortified.
Good enough.
I just had one comment. I received a letter from a property owner in the Dam Road area that was really happy to would continue to block it off because it helps with code enforcement issues. So, all right, I'll open it to the public now.
And I own property on 4th Avenue. I have no place to go. I'm a fire survivor and my dogs and code enforcement is taking everything I own and saying I can't be on my own property. I'm homeless. I have nowhere to go. They took my fifth wheel. They took everything. Alvarez Towing profited off of this shit. And I have nowhere to go. My dogs were found being in the cash fire. I got no help. I own my own property and I don't understand why it's okay. I had porta potty service. I take my trash to the dumps. I work IHSS. Now I gotta quit my job because the code enforcement's taking my shit again. I don't understand why it's pervious flats. It's coordination. Get it right.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? Any more public comment here in the chamber? If not, is there anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There is no comment on the Zoom.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council for deliberation.
Mr. Mayor, there's no other comments on council. I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-14, authorizing the extension of the temporary road closure of certain roads to reduce illegal dumping and to protect the environment, public health, and welfare.
Okay,
I'd like to second that motion.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's go out to our portal. Okay, we go to.
Wait a minute.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Okay, we'll go to business item number 10, presentation of the Public Education and Government Television Annual Board Report.
Morning, Mayor, City Council. Annually, we have to do a PEG report on what we've been up to and what's going on in the future for PEG. Usually we do this for the county and the city of Lakeport for funding, but our relationship is a little bit different. We have an in-kind contribution. You don't provide us direct dollars, you provide us some resources and some assets such as the studio right in this office. Did I push too many buttons? So recently we've had a change in our, and I don't really remember when we last did this update, but we've had a change of who is on our board. So we have Councilmember Mary Wilson that represents the city of Clearlake. We have Councilmember Christina Price that represents the city of Lakeport, myself that represents the County Board of Supervisors. We have Kevin Mack that represents the education from LCOE. And then we have brand new, we filled up our vacancy for our public member at large, and that would be Tom Lasik. Our station manager, who has been our station manager for probably 6 or more years, he's probably yelling at me because that's not correct. Thomas DeWalt, he's been put to task on a lot of other things. He's really doing a whole bunch these days, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we also got a new chief editor, Cheyenne Blue, who's been doing a really bang-up job of doing our editing of our videos and whatnot. So our operating budget increased by about 25K last year. We are selling our services to the community. We have the Farm Bureau, we have Lake EDC, we have the Chamber of Commerce, we have the County of Lake that's hiring us to be able to do some of the work that they're asking us to do, mostly just videography work. Well, hopefully we can expand into more. So our total revenues estimated for this fiscal year is about 57,000. Again, a $25,000 increase that we are anticipating. Again, $10,000 in-kind contribution from the city of Clearlake. A $2,000, we're gonna have to review that soon, from the city of Lakeport. Just submitted that invoice after doing our presentation on Tuesday. And then $15,000 from the county of Lake. I'll be doing that presentation. It was supposed to be this upcoming Tuesday, but it's been moved to May 19th. And then, as you can see, our contract services, which used to never happen, maybe about 2 years ago, $30,000, and we keep increasing the amount of contract services that we get hired for. So our expenses is mostly just the folks that work for PEG TV. They're contractors. We don't have any employees, but we're up by about 20,000. And so if you're doing your math, we're increasing our operational budget. We have a $5,000 revenue plus this year. And so right now, I think in our bank account, we have about $85,000 in our operational budget. Operational budget is specific to just just again, the people that work for PEG. It's a little bit more specific on the other budget. So our station manager, just from stipends, $22,000 a year. Our editor, $4,800 a year. I say facilities and insurance, but that's the in-kind contribution. We're supposed to receive $10,000 from the city of Clearlake. In return, we receive facilities and insurance, and you also do our annual audit for us. And then the additional pay is extra $18,000 on top of everything else that we've been seeing for our station manager and editor. Our capital budget revenue, we're working on that. We're supposed to receive, everybody who pays MediaCom, whether it's internet or whether it's cable, 1% of their bill is supposed to come directly to us. The city of Clearlake, the city of Lakeport, and the county are pass-throughs. They receive that 1%. You are the ones to have franchise agreements with MediaCom. We receive the 1%. Part of what I do as a chair, I also do contracts, I do the invoices, I do the check requests, but I also have to do all the finances for PEG TV. I guess I have not been doing a great job of tracking to make sure that I'm receiving my 1%. So I'm working right now with the city of Clearlake, the city of Lakeport, and the county to make sure that we are receiving that 1% correctly. But in that budget, we have about $250,000 at this moment in time. This is for capital budget only. So it's not supposed to be for operations, not supposed to be for staff. It's supposed to be only for buying equipment, maintenance, and so on and so forth to keep the TV station going. We're supposed to make about $40,000 a year in that pass-through. This year, we're planning to spend about $72,000. Again, we have about $250,000. A couple years back, it was around $300,000. We're trying to spend a little bit more money so that we can provide services to the community. And this year, we've put a contract together at about $50,000 with Soper Reese to update their theater so that they can have state-of-the-art recording equipment, so that when somebody rents out for that venue, they can use us to go ahead and record, possibly stream whatever the event is that is happening at Soper Reese. We want to work with the entire county. It's not just Lakeport. It's not just here. We provide you guys a lot of support as well for your concerts in the park. We'll talk about some of that as well. So some of the activities that we do, we support local events. We are official sponsors of your concerts in the park. We have the equipment, and we also hire part of the staff that comes out and makes sure that the sound system works perfectly. We support our local municipal advisory committees, which are arms of the Board of Supervisors. There's 6 of those, and provide videography services for a bunch of others. We've been really trying to break into our schools to get youth content to help them have access to the equipment and be able to create the content so that we can showcase that on PEG TV, whether that's online or on the Channel 8. We finally did it this year. Tom Lasik, our new public member at large, really helped us out. And he's offering some incentives as well. I don't know if you've ever met the audio, I know you have, but the audio visual teacher that is at Lower Lake High School. But that resume that gentleman comes with, he used to work with CNN, work worldwide, going to Egypt, Russia, and other places to do all kinds of videography work and interviews. And now he's working with our students with the knowledge he learned on how to use the technology and teaching that to our students. I think that's pretty amazing. And so we have made contact with him. He's very easygoing. And right away, we got some student teams that now want to do, we're kind of branding it it as a public service announcement, like choose your topic, choose your subject matter that you really want to highlight. One of them is working on substance use in Lake County and what programs are available and what else might be needed. One of them wants to do a story about the Lower Lake Jail. We're letting them choose as long as it's about the community in general and what's happening in our community, then we're happy to support them. And so we're starting to see that happening and we want to expand that. We want to expand that to all the high schools as well. And hopefully what will happen is, well, not hopefully, we're going to do this, we'll have scholarships attached to some of the videos. We'll do a competition of all the videos we've collected from the youth and offer some scholarships so that they can use that to buy equipment or they can use that to go off to college for whatever reason they want to go to college. Already talked about Soper Reese. And then of course we have our website at Lake Peg TV. Need to refurnish that one a little bit, but it's still there, still active. Future activities, always looking to increase our revenues. We do want to work on doing commercials for our local agencies. Lake Transit Authority is top of mind. We've already had a conversation. We're ready to start filming. We just need to find the time to really be able to put out the storyboard that we've created for that commercial. Increased viewership. We're always looking to attract more people. The more content we create, the more people are going to find us and want to watch us. We want to activate Lakeport. So I might say something you weren't aware of. It used to be that this meeting would be live fed to Channel 8 on PEG TV. Technology changed, Mediacom upgraded, and we have not been able to live stream since then. Now we can live stream through YouTube, but not on Channel 8. The only one that we're able to get Channel 8 is the Board of Supervisors. They've upgraded the technology there. We need to work here to make sure that that can occur again. Lakeport has never been live streamed on Channel 8. So we've been meaning to fix the Lakeport one and meaning to fix the Lakeport one. We lost the Clearlake one. So we have some catching up to do to make sure that as of 6 p.m., you guys are being live streamed. As of 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, Lakeport's being live streamed, so on and so forth, because that's the way it should be. That's the way it was. And I want to make sure that we bring it back to that. And right now what we've done is we've delegated all different types of projects to different folks, and Councilmember Price is in charge of trying to get that going again for Lakeport. And I haven't said that I'm going to give that to Councilmember Wilson, but I probably should just say that right now. That way it's in stone. We want to pursue further partnerships. I think we've kind of gotten the trust of the community that when they hire us to do the services that we show up and that we provide the services that we said we would provide. There's always kinks in the system. Technology is not just a press a button and everything works, but I think we do a pretty good job. And we are starting to look at accessing grants as well. So one of the reasons is we got hired by Lake County Behavioral Health to work with Circle of Native Minds to do recordings of tribal elders and their stories. This has been a conversation that I've heard has happened with the museums for a long time, with other folks for a long time, and it just never happened. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of elders, therefore we've lost a lot of stories. And so we finally got the invite from Behavioral Health. We said yes, and we have already recorded 21 interviews. And we are looking to do the final one. I don't know if it'll be this week or next week, but the final 22nd interview will happen. The reason we're looking for a grant is not so that we necessarily do more interviews, but we really want to do a really good job of editing those videos and not just a straight shot of a talking head. We want some B-roll. We want some additional pictures that we would be provided that can help out with the story that's being told. And all of that takes a lot of time. If you've ever done editing, just 5 minutes of video to be edited could take hours. If you have an hour's worth of video, that could take a really, really long time. So we're looking to get some grants so we can get the funding so we can pay our folks to be able to do the editing and finish it, and hopefully work with Soper Reese so we can show some of those things at the theater over there. And also for the Lower Lake High School kids that we're working with right now, at this point in time, we do intend to go to the school board to show off the video and also possibly do the scholarship award at the school board meeting. But if it's something that's related to you guys, if it's something related to Lakeport, if it's something related to the county, we want to come to the right board or the right council and show off this material that the youth has put together to tell you a little bit of their perspective and their story, because I think it's important that we're hearing from everybody in our community, and oftentimes we don't always hear from our youth. So I think that's an important project that we're working on. And I think that does it for me. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but you kind of answered my question. So I think it's great that you're including the youth and kids at the high school. I mean, they dedicate a whole period just to editing and recording, and they do a daily announcement on YouTube where everyone can go watch it. It's like updates daily, and we've never had that before until Mr. Akbar came. So it's pretty cool. And these kids do all the work pretty much. So it's great. And my question was about scholarships, but you answered that. So I think that's great because a lot of these kids go to technical school for this type of stuff and not necessarily 4 years. So that's helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That is a great asset.
Yes.
Councilman?
I just want to thank you, Supervisor Sabatier, for the help that PEG has afforded to Clear Lake Community Action Group specifically and at various times when we've asked for your help, and hopefully we can continue to work with you on the MAC project.
And we like working with you. You pay very promptly.
Thank you. I think maybe it's grown up a little bit, huh, over the last.
Grown in the last 2 years.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for doing that. All right, anybody wants to make a comment on this? Come up to the council. If not, any comments on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we go to item number 11. Discussion and consideration of actions regarding concerns with the Lake County Sanitation District. Mr. Flora.
Mr. Mayor, council member, sorry, I shared the wrong screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, have a number of things I want to go through tonight. As you know, we've had a lot of issues with the sewer system here in the city of Clear Lake, which is provided by the Lake County Sanitation District, operated and managed by Lake County Special Districts. I tried to provide a pretty lengthy staff report with a number of issues and several backup documents. So hopefully you've had time to review it. I have a few slides I thought would be helpful to go through. Some of them are directly related to the information in the staff report. And there's some additional information that I'll also provide here. So this is a little bit of an overview about what I plan to talk about tonight. I do want to start by talking about the Robin Lane sewer spill. This is just one example of the concerns that we have, but I think it's overall very symbolic of the larger issues that exist within the Southeast system. We want to spend a little bit of time talking about governance, how the system is governed, a very brief overview of the system itself, a look at some of the funding, some current issues, violations, and then some takeaways and recommendations. So starting with Robin Lane. So you know all this, but just to give you a quick refresher, on the morning of January 11th, and then continuing through January 12th for 37.5 hours, there was a sewer spill on Robin Lane. So a 16-inch force main ruptured. There were 2 valve failures that did not allow the spill to be shut off for a very long period of time. The most updated report from Lake County Special Districts lists the spill at 1.3 million gallons. That the reported volumes of the spill have changed dramatically over time. The initial report was 2,000 gallons. At one point it was 2.9 million gallons, and then their official report revised it down to 1.3. I would say that we have a lot of questions about the accuracy of that number. So this all resulted in sewage contaminating the aquifer. This is a more significant problem in this area than it would have been in some other areas of the city, because all of these residences rely on private wells for their water supply at their homes. And a large number of those wells were contaminated. As is the practice under the emergency operations plan structure, special districts at the beginning took over incident command. That lasted from January 11th through January 26th. On January 26th, a joint incident command management team structure was implemented by the city of Clearlake and Lake County OES. Lake County OES was there because they're able to direct county response resources, and then the city participated because these are our residents, and we were there to help provide a number of response support actions with our staff and helping to manage things. And, I do just want to underline that if the incident command structure had been working effectively, this step would have been unnecessary. But I think we all know that that wasn't working well at all. And while in retrospect, looking back on the actions taken by the incident management team, and things we learned throughout the process, I'm sure we would have done a few things differently. But we are hopefully tomorrow, I believe, we'll be able to have all of the systems installed that were purchased by the county in response to this. So now I want to talk a little bit about governance. So the situation with this is a little bit confusing and complicated, but the Lake County Sanitation District was established in 1963. It was really a district that covered the entirety of Lake County, with the exception of the city of Lakeport, which is incorporated before that time. Because there were no incorporated cities in the district, the Board of Supervisors was established as the board of directors for that district. In 1980, the city of Clearlake was incorporated. That should have triggered a change in the governance structure at that time, but it did not happen. And we don't really know the history on this, but in 1983, clearly the city understood that something should have happened, but they took action delegating their role in governance to the Board of Supervisors. So because of a number of issues and concerns, the City Council in 2024 requested to the Board of Supervisors that there be a governance discussion happen between the two entities, and recognizing that the city should have some role in this. There was no action taken by the Board of Supervisors. So in 2025, the city took action rescinding the delegation of authority to the Board of Supervisors. That happened in November. It wasn't until early 2026 that the city and county began having discussions about what this governance structure looked like. And those conversations, while not, I would just say have been frustrating and not particularly fruitful, but we are continuing to meet. So the Lake County Sanitation District, or sometimes referred to as Lake OSAN, is a distinct entity from the county. However, the Board of Supervisors, as I mentioned, acts as the board of directors. Lake OSAN itself has no employees. Lake County Special Districts is a county department, direction given by the Board of Supervisors, and they have all of the employees for the sanitation district and all the other utilities that Lake County Special Districts manages and operates. Okay, so very high level overview of the system itself. There's a treatment plant just north of the city. A portion of the 490 acre parcel that it resides on is within the city, but the bulk of it is not currently. According to documents, public documents from the sanitation district, there are approximately 100 miles of gravity collection mains, 18 miles of pressurized force mains, 22 lift stations, almost 2,000 manholes. I believe this is an updated number, but the number that I found in their documents is that peak wet weather flow for the plant is designed to manage 6.1 million gallons per day. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, I believe the flows that were reported around the spill time were around 1.8 million gallons per day. So the Southeast system itself has approximately 6,300 connections. I think some of these numbers that are reported on their website are a little bit old. We've had significant number of growth in the city since this happens, but as reported, serving about 13,300 residents. Providing these maps are probably, they're not really designed to be shown in this format, but hopefully you can get a little bit of an idea. The one on the left, you can see the different colors. Those are the different sewer districts that are included in the sanitation district itself. So I told you that originally the whole county was included. Obviously, the portion that's served by the sanitation district is much smaller than that. And in fact, this, I don't know if I can highlight it, but the green kind of in the middle of that map, that's actually Kelseyville. It is not part of the Lake County Sanitation District. It has a different makeup that includes both the water and sewer district. So, but the data provided a little over 11,000 connections in the sanitation district, excluding the ones provided by Kelseyville Sewer. If you look at the Southeast system, which is the one that serves the city of Clearlake, the sort of purple is the city boundary, the orange is the service area of the sanitation district. That, according to the last report, as I mentioned earlier, about 6,300 connections within that. So you can see here that significantly over half of the sewer customers served by the sanitation district are in the Southeast system and also within the city of Clearlake. It's been frustrating, kind of brought on by the attempt to increase the rates of the sewer system by 120% recently. And a number of things were included in that presentation that there's a huge structural deficit with the system. And so there was a need to increase rates significantly. This is a pretty simplified chart here, but I think it's worth noting. So what I did was just from public documents, county budgets, I pulled actuals from 5 years and then the current fiscal year's budgeted numbers. So you see a revenue on the top, expense, and then essentially the balance of that, whether there was a surplus or deficit in that year. And then construction in progress is also, you know, a section where the county normally budgets capital improvement projects in that system. And so a lot of times the revenue, sort of the balance of revenue expenses is often looks worse or better than it really should, because in one particular year, savings from other years is used for large capital improvement projects. So I listed those out and then adjusted the balance, removing those. So you can see if you just look at the revenue, for example, that revenue in the system in even just the last few years has increased quite significantly. Went up $2.5 million actual cost just over a few years. And I think that's largely a result of some of the development projects that have happened here in the city, a significant number of increased connections, capacity expansion fees, and so forth. Expense obviously has also increased quite significantly, but you can see that starting in 2020, 2021, that fiscal year, they ended with a $1.2 million surplus. There were a couple of deficits in 22, 23 and 23, 24, relatively small. A significant budgeted deficit in this current fiscal year, but you can see with the line below that that was because of a very large list of capital improvement projects that were planned. I do think it's also worth pointing out that it's not great to see a year where $0 of capital improvement projects were spent in the system over a 3-year period. It's also worth pointing out the reserves. There's been some questions about this. The column that you see there established or estimated June 30th, 2025. This is what was in the rate study that was presented to the board of directors of the sanitation district. It showed that as of the beginning of almost a year ago now, beginning of the 25-26 fiscal year, there were 0 capacity expansion reserves, a slight number of mitigation reserves, and negative balance in CIP. Operation maintenance had 0. And then debt service, there were some bonds issued by the district a number of years ago. And so there's debt payments related to that. And so they do have, it's actually a part of your bill. There's a certain amount for paying the debt service, $322,000. For a total of $121,000 of total reserves in the system. That was one of the justifications for significant increase in rates in order to rebuild reserves. Actually, a printout from the county's financial system the day before the rate study hearing on March 23rd showed the actual amounts in all of those categories. So capacity expansion, actually 1.3 million. Mitigation, got that one right. Operation and maintenance, just over 1 million. Debt service was pretty close for a total of 2.7 million. But then in addition to that, the finance system showed that there's an additional 2 million in what we would call unreserved fund balance, which is unrestricted for any use, but has been set aside. So a total of $4.7 million available at that time. Now, should point out that some of these things like capacity expansion and so forth, there's specific projects that has to be used for. There are some restrictions on, something that expands the capacity of the system. You can't use it just to replace a water or a sewer main that's been broken. Just thought it was important to point out the discrepancy. I also thought it might be interesting for you to view some information about the spill history, and there's been quite a bit. So this here, going back to 2007, and this is brought directly from numbers that were reported by the sanitation district to the state water board. And this information is pulled from the state water board's website. So this is a count of the number of sewer spills that happened in each of these years. So you can see that there was a high in 2011, 14 spills that year. 2018 was great, 0 spills, kind of jumped up and down, but consistently around 7 or 8 spills every year somewhere in the system. This is the same spills and showing actually the gallons reported spill. So you can see the very small numbers over most of those years, but it's quite concerning to see the change kind of starting in 2019 where there's a pretty large one. And then of course, 2026, just the 1 spill. And this is only reflecting the 1.3 million gallons with the revised reporting, which arguably is quite low. And I think this is just overlaying the two. I mean, the number of spills doesn't appear to be increasing, but certainly the magnitude of those spills appears to be getting worse. And I would argue that there's probably a direct correlation between, well, a number of things that we can talk about, but going back to the level of capital investment in the system and the way it's been maintained are very concerning if we were to see this trend to continue. So all of those spills between 2007 and this year, a total of 2.8 million gallons that has been reported. I even have a lot of issues with, if you look at the reports, basically 3 things are required to be reported. Total amount that was spilled from the system, the amount that was recovered, and then the remaining amount, which is considered to be, even if it doesn't directly make it, it's still considered to have hit surface water, even if it doesn't directly pour into the creek, because we all know that it's eventually going to get there. And if you are to analyze those reports, and they are provided as part of the agenda packet, not all of those numbers even add up. There's missing numbers and a lot of issues there that raise concerns. Okay, so some of the key takeaways. The system is clearly aging. You know, I've had a lot of conversations with folks who worked there, were administrators in the past for a long period of time. And the story that you continually get is because of the age of the system, even 10 years ago, required literally continual inspection and maintenance of the system. If you stop inspecting and maintaining the system, the problems exacerbate. In recent years, this work appears to have largely lapsed. There are some things that have been happening recently that haven't happened in a number of years, so that is good. And that's one of the things is there's been some enforcement again over grease traps and what they call the FOGs, which is fats, oils, and grease program. I don't know how widespread that is. I know that they have made an effort to inspect any grease traps that are owned by the city. Frequency and severity of the spills has increased in recent years. I believe that largely the growth in Clearlake has provided an increase in revenues. There doesn't appear to be a strong structural deficit to me. The data provided by special districts is often faulty and hard to rely upon. The concerns and input that the city provides both to Lake County special districts and to a majority of the Board of Supervisors is largely rejected. And the development community, I think you know that we have a lot of development interest, a lot of very exciting projects on the horizon. The development community is very concerned about having to deal with Lake County special districts and some of the tactics. Rather than a solution-oriented approach, they're frequently threatened with, we're going to close your business down and cut your sewer line. And that's not the way that this should be done. So I think at the end, our community deserves better representation than it's getting. Recommendations, these are just kind of pulled out of what's in the staff report. I'll go over them briefly. There's a lengthy list of a demand for records that I think that we need to ask the county for in order to help getting a better understanding of what's going on. There is one thing that is listed in there, but it's not on the overall list. And so I wanted to highlight it here. You know, I think they really need to do independent testing of surface water in the Robin Lane area. One thing we do know from the test results as a result of the spill is that it appears that the baseline conditions, our hydrologist says that really she believes that the impacts of the spill itself have passed through the system. However, testing in the water in ditches, creeks, and the lake still have extremely elevated levels of total coliform and E. coli. That's coming from somewhere. It could be coming from private septic systems in the area. There could be larger issues with the system and the plant, but we need to understand what that is. I think at this point it's appropriate for us to file formal complaints with a number of regulatory agencies. I didn't list them here, but they're in the staff report. So ultimately, sewer systems are regulated by the Federal Clean Water Act, by the EPA. Most of that authority is delegated by the EPA to the California State Water Resources Control Board. I think all of those agencies need to be included. The impacts on our waterways, the lake, also justify bringing in the California Natural Resources Agency probably, and a number of other regulatory agencies to make sure they're aware of what's going on. Because a large amount of this infrastructure is within the county right-of-way, the city right-of-way gives the city some additional authority that we could begin exercising that we haven't up to this point. I mean, digging and things require encroachment permits, but we could consider actually starting to do our own independent engineering analysis, some of the assets that are within our public right-of-way, in order to get accurate and timely information. A number of impacts from the system, whether it's lack of odor control at some of our lift stations, the spills themselves, are a violation of the city municipal code. And the city could begin issuing notices of violations and administrative citations for those. while we're hopeful for a short-term resolution to the governance situation that I think the city deserves, ultimate solution to this is to apply to LAFCO, which is the Lake Local Agency Formation Commission, for detachment of the southeast system from the Lake County Sanitation District. And I think that would result in even more direct responsibility for the city council to be able to make decisions over the system that impacts us every day. And then one last thing that I wanted to mention, you'll recall about a year or so ago, the council gave approval to the sanitation district to purchase 4 tax defaulted properties within the city. The Revenue and Taxation Code requires us as a city jurisdiction to give consent to them in order to purchase those properties. You directed me to do that. But that hasn't been completed yet. And we recently became aware, not because any of this information was given to us directly, but there's plans on one of the properties that you'll recall in Highlands Way to do some improvements, including installing a large concrete vault that would hold 27,000 gallons of sewage. We're very concerned about the proposed plans. We don't know what the proposed plans are for the other parcels, but I think it may be appropriate for the council to tell me not to sign that agreement until we have more assurances about what the plan is on any of those properties, and that it's not going to negatively impact the community around. So that's really what I have. I have some drone footage from the day after the spill for your viewing enjoyment here. Just as a reminder of what this looks like and the impacts that this had on the community. I'd also ask you to look at this and tell me that you think 3,900 gallons of sewage made it into the ditch. But with that overview, I'd be happy to try and address any questions the council may have.
Okay, questions for staff? Mr. Councilman Cranley.
Yes, I do have one. You mentioned in the testing spill that our hydrologist said the spill that she believes it has already passed through the aquifer and so on. But then you said that there could be other issues with the plant. Are you talking about potential seepage out of the ponds, or?
I don't know. It's coming from somewhere. It's very near the plant. As you know, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes through that area. I don't want anyone to think that I'm making the allegation specifically that is the case. But I think, you know, we need to find out where it's coming from. I mean, maybe there's just a lot of failed private septic systems in that area that are causing this problem, but it's a very large area. We tried to, during the incident, expand the testing to see where all it was coming from, and we're not able to find a place where the testing dropped off. And so, you know, I think someone needs to do more testing and figure this out.
I agree. Yes, you got anything?
I don't have any questions. I just have a lot of opinions and
Go ahead.
concerns, and
Go for it.
it's been really, I've been on the committee meeting with special districts representatives and Board of Supervisor representatives trying to work through this governance issue, and we're just not getting where we need to be. And it's really frustrating to be representing my constituents who are not getting truthful answers. They're not getting transparent records, current records, historical records, any kind of operational data, factual accountability. I feel like special districts is hiding behind very modest numbers that they're putting out. And I really think that I would like to see the city push forward and try and get as much factual data as we can, so we can bring the truth to the people who are suffering from this spill and who in the future are going to be dealing with very similar issues. So.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Councilmember Hooten. It's unfortunate what happened on Robin Lane. And that's something that
should never happen and shouldn't have happened. And I think it's our job as, you know, in our due diligence as council members and the city to make sure that doesn't ever happen again. So I definitely want to see more information and a lot of follow-up on this, because we need to, at this point, we need prevention. And there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of information that needs to be known to the public, so.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Well, the city manager mentioned possible citations, and I'd like to see us move forward with any kind of citations that we possibly can against special districts.
No, first discussion and then public comment. Okay. It feels like we've been kind of, you know, ignored for a long time with this stuff. It was when we just went over to Pamela that we actually found out, that Councilman Kramer and I, that we actually saw sewage spilling into the side, the roadside ditch. I mean, we had to point out to them that this was happening already, and they didn't even go down there to find out. So it borders on negligent, as far as I'm concerned, and we need to take a little bit more action to control this situation, so that is for the citizens of the city of Clearlake. That's our responsibility, and Lake Cosan is not doing that. If you look at all the, I mean, I read through about probably scanned some of it, but the 188 pages of report that you prepared were very distinct, and it really shows how we're being ignored, and we cannot tolerate that anymore. It's our duty as city council to make sure that we have governance over this situation, and that we get the information that is needed for where the public can trust the information, because there is no trust in anything that they say.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like, since you brought up the spill into the water, or the fluent running into the ditch on Pamela, I'm gonna go ahead, and I was gonna save this for later, but this is what happened. Mayor Slutin and I drove down, and I took a video of that flow, which I think you have somewhere, at 1:16 p.m. That went into the drain ditch that empties actually into Burns Valley Creek, which was running at that time. So it no doubt also made it to Clearlake. They're indicating in their analysis of the ditch spill volume calculation, the 3,900 gallons they came up with. They based that upon between 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. Keep in mind the video that I have, which is clearly showing at least 5 gallons a minute. I'm sure it's probably more like 10 or 15 in my opinion. At any rate, between 2:30 and 3 p.m., they're showing 5 gallons per minute. They multiply that by 60 minutes. So they came up with 300 gallons. And then they went back on Monday, the day after, I went back to the site between 6 and 8 p.m. And then they came up with a flow of 30 gallons per minute for 120 minutes for 360 gallons. That's how they came up with 3,900 gallons. That water, that effluent, it was running well before they ever started looking at it. And then they only looked at it for an hour. They had pump trucks out there and vacuum trucks who were out trying to pick it up. And but in between when those were actually sucking it in, when they're changing the water, the effluent was running once again into this ditch, which was once again running into Burns Valley Creek, which was once again running into Clearlake. This analysis, in my opinion, is a bunch of crap, to be really honest. None of it makes any sense. And their total gallonage at 2.9 million gallons, in my opinion, appeared to be low to me from my observation of the pumper trucks that were going out, and the amount of the difference in flow coming out of that initial photo video. You could see there when they were pumping out, they were filling a pumper up in about 10 minutes. That was 300 or 3,200 gallons, so approximately 320 gallons a minute. And there was no noticeable difference in the amount of flow going out of there. And that happened for 37 and a half hours. 2.9 seemed to be low in my opinion. Their last estimate of what, 1.3. 1.3, that's ridiculous. There's no way it could have not been more than that. And besides that, what they had, they didn't pick it all up. All of that you saw from the aerials, that all soaked into the ground. That's why some folks on Robin Lane had more than 2,400 parts per million of E. coli when the acceptable amount of E. coli is 0. Off the charts. The whole handling of it, that I was out there early because I live on Robin Lane, not in the spill. I was on the south side of the creek. But I went up there and was observing. Supervisor Sabache was up there observing. City Manager Flora got there a little later because he was coming from Lakeport observing. That effluent was running before they directed it down Robin Lane, was running out cross country, and it was hitting that ditch early on. It went through a number of properties along Pamela, well north of where we actually had the video of it going into that ditch. So the amount that actually went into Burns Valley Creek, 3,900 gallons, is ridiculous. That was one example that I wanted to use, but I think as City Manager Flora pointed out, we're looking to improve Clear Lake. We're looking for economic development in Clear Lake. We're looking to have nicer, more homes in Clear Lake and people working in Clear Lake. The ability, directly on these folks out in Robin Lane for the foreseeable future, there's a hell of a negative effect on property values in that spill area. That's what, 400 plus homes in the whole area. Hitting that, contractors, as the City Manager Flora pointed out, difficulty for contractors even before the spill in working with Lake of Sand is negatively impacting our ability to have economic development in Clear Lake. And we're not getting any help from the Board of Supervisors as a whole. There are individuals that I believe are trying, but the Board of Supervisors as a whole has failed Clear Lake. Okay, so
Thank you. Any additional comments? Rex, it's just, anybody wants more information from staff at this point? If not, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody wants to come up and say something?
Good evening, Mayor and Council Member. Again, not the same topic. This has been a really difficult year. A lot of the information that you heard tonight, not the entire packet, the city manager did a good job, but a lot of that information was information that I've shared throughout the last 6 months, if not more. I've been making all kinds of attempts to work with the system, fix the system, resolve issues, sit down with developers. Starbucks was one of the first ones where we had to go head to head and figure out how to get installed. It's been difficult. What's difficult is my position between what the city wants and where the county stands. And so that puts me in a really awkward position. And I'll admit, I have to mince words tonight because I can't speak freely, not on this microphone, but it's really frustrating. And it's been one of the hardest times with this. I know that what you don't see is easy to forget about until you actually see it. And I think that while it's horrible that the community had to endure what the community is still enduring, I do believe that there's a different perspective of paying attention to this system. I know you may not agree that that perspective has changed, maybe to the liking that you would like. But I think it's obvious that there was a massive shock of we need to pay attention to this. Doesn't mean I've seen what I've wanted to see either. So I can appreciate your position. I can appreciate your frustration. But I also, and I've had a recent conversation with Mr. Flora, what is the end goal? And while I do agree, Councilmember Hooton and Councilmember Kramer, that it has been really hard to meet privately to figure out governance, especially as I'm sitting there trying to represent something that I don't necessarily always believe in, having arguments with a position that I actually agree with. So that makes it really hard, but I would like to believe that we are finding some common ground. And that common ground is the people that we serve, not who's in charge. And I hope that we can continue to move forward. I would like to believe that there are some options that are available. And I would also like to see if I could take a little bit longer.
You can go
on. Please. And I think it's obvious that the system has a problem, right? I think that it's not anything to hide. It's right on the website. Right? On the website, it says during summer years or summer days, it's 1.4 million gallons a day. And during winter days, it's 6.7 or 6.9 million gallons a day. There's a reason why there's a massive difference. A lot of this system has to be replaced. And we're gonna have to figure out how to get the funding for that and how to do that. Unfortunately, we're having difficulties fixing very simple things. As you know, Mayor, I've approached you many a times about the odor control systems and still working on that since 2022, 2023. So I don't have anything to request from you guys. I think that you're looking at some options that from your perspective, I would take those options. But I just hope that the table that we're sitting at, where we're trying to figure out how we move forward as a team so that we can figure out what's best for our community, that it is not a, I'm not attempting to have a strong arm approach. And I hope that we can find a simple way for a temporary solution to figure out how we can lead together and resolve this. Now, I don't want to put this as a negative, but the city of Clearlake has given this responsibility to the county when the city of Clearlake could have taken that responsibility since 1983. It took this and a little bit before of all the problems that we've had to really push you guys to want to take on that responsibility. And I want you to take that responsibility. Your community needs you to take that responsibility. It's the right thing to do. And I just hope that the opportunities that have been laid out for us are ones that we're all going to grab onto, because if we don't grab onto them, then our peoples are not going to see anything different. And we're going to continue to debate and quarrel over how we move forward. And I think we just need to figure out how to move forward. And I hope that you look at that option, look at those options.
Any more public comment? Come on up.
Stephanie Hummel, and I live in Clearlake. And what I would like to say is, first of all, I live in the area of the spill. The houses that were behind me tested positive. The houses that were in front of me tested positive, but I tested negative. And I was in the white zone. What I really just want to say, I appreciate what Bruno had to say, but I also want to say that, you know, I'm here to trust you guys. And I really want what's best for our town. And I don't understand any of the sanitation stuff. I know I don't pay a bill to the sanitation people, I don't believe. So I don't really know enough to, but that's why I, relinquish my rights to you, because I have to trust you. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, my name is Cassandra. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I'm here, so what the heck. I'm a Robin Lane resident. I met many of you, and I know that we're frustrated about this situation. I don't have the privilege to forget about this situation. I have to pay for water out of pocket. $600 a month we're paying to have water delivered right now. That's an excessive, unplanned bill that we're paying at the moment. We bought our home a year and a half ago. It was supposed to be our forever home. It had a well, it had a septic, all the things that I wanted to be more self-sustained, and that's been taken away from us. And now we have more bills on top of that. And so it's a considerable burden. It's not just, oh, that's too bad that happened and what can we do moving forward? We're suffering actively every day financially because of this. So it is a huge deal. It is a huge issue. It's not just me, it's many residents are struggling with this right now. We've lost so much public trust and faith during this. I love our county. I'm not from here. I grew up in Hawaii. I have no ties to this area other than it's amazing and I love it. And it's a different community than one I've ever been in. And I want to continue to be proud of the community that I've decided to be in and raise my children in. And I'm just hoping that we can all come together and come to a solution that's going to work for everybody. And it's not about who's in charge and who's doing what. We need accountability. We need public trust and faith. And we need to feel like it's not a us versus them problem. It's a community coming together and fixing a problem that should have never been. It's happened before on Robin Lane. It just happened 4 months ago, and it is going to happen again if something isn't changed in this situation. So I'm really coming to you guys asking you to do what you think is necessary to make this happen, because special districts hasn't done their job. I don't feel like they've been honest or truthful about numbers. I mean, I watched with my own eyes, the amount going down the roads, and I disagree with the reports as well. So I'm just grateful that, we've been doing this. I've been on the front page of the paper. I've been on the radio. I've been doing the protests. We stood outside of special districts. Like, I'm doing everything that I feel that I can do to raise awareness that this is happening, but we're still paying money every week for water. So that's the most frustrating disconnect, is there's so much awareness and there's so much information about it, but as far as solutions, we're not there yet. So please don't stop pushing until we get actual solutions that help our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, Margaret.
I'm Margaret Garcia, City of Clearlake. I really don't know a lot about the ins and outs of other than what you guys have been discussing right now. But as far as the City of Clearlake, I would hope that the City of Clearlake is taking their position to protect what's best for the city, and not leaving it to the county of Lake to look over what's best for Clearlake. I mean, the county, of course, covers the county of Lake, and there are a lot of areas that I'm sure are maybe better tended to, better response is happening. And I'm not sure if the chart that was up on the board about how many spills have taken place, if that's just here in this city or if it's in Lake County. It's in this city. So I'm curious, it's the comparison of this city versus, say, Lakeport or Kelseyville, or what type of numbers, you know, would possibly come out of that? Because I feel like maybe the city of Clearlake could be looked at as like, you know, a little stepchild that is on the end of the list, whatever lists that there are, we're at the bottom. And I think that it would be definitely a great idea for you guys to start paying attention to all of that, because no one's going to look out for the city of Clearlake more than city council, or at least I would hope. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any more public comment in here? If not, is there anybody on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, just briefly to respond partially to Ms. Garcia. I haven't done an analysis of spills in the other parts of the system or the city of Lakeport system. I know that Supervisor Sabatier has, so but that's something we could provide. My understanding from Supervisor Sabatier's research is the problems are not the same in the other areas.
All right. Just procedural, do you want us to vote on your areas of concern and your list of demands?
Well, yeah, if you're so inclined, I would ask you just to vote for the recommended action in the staff report, which is the list.
Okay. All right. Any more?
And of course,
comments?
if there's any other ideas or anything, you can add to it.
Any other comments from the council here on the recommendations?
If the rescinding the purchase agreement for the Highlands and the other lots is not on there, I would like for it to be added.
It is. It's the last one on the list, I think number 6. But the language, I know, confused a few people, but that is the one that it's stuck in.
And I would like to say I was a little skeptical about that when she came and did her presentation, because the odors that we smell at the lift stations every single day they're unbearable to be around. And this particular lot on Highlands Avenue is in a residential neighborhood with neighbors on 3 sides of it. So
that's also an area that has been impacted by spills, right?
Right. I'm not sure about that, but I just, you know, if their intention is worse than what we thought it was going to be, I think I definitely support pulling out of that.
Yeah, and the plan as little we know about it, 27,000 gallons is a drop in the bucket, and apparently the inlet and outlet are both at the top of the tank, so it would have even less of an ability to take that overflow. So no, it's ridiculous. And I definitely would rescind that.
Okay.
Oh.
Good. Any last comments?
Yeah, the detachment, is that also listed in there?
Yes, it is number 5.
Local agency permission.
Oh, gosh, I went too far.
Okay, and what about
Okay,
the
there's-
citations?
It's in there.
Yes, that is
Number 4.
number 4.
Yeah, I mean, this list is a good start, and we'll see what happens and the outcome out of it. But I think, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I can read between the lines when it comes between the county, special districts and board of supervisors and us. Like I feel like we've tried to work with them, and we're just not getting what we need and the information that we need. And as a city, we need to protect our city and the people that do live here. And so I do think it's our responsibility to take action and make sure that we get that done.
Councilman Wilson, you have anything to add? Okay. Councilman Graham?
Yes, to your suggestions, Supervisor Savachi, I do think we should continue our our meetings with our committee meetings with you. Certainly, it's certainly something that possibly could result in something that would be positive for us. But as I see it, as shown by this presentation that City Manager Flora made, all of these options are things that I fully support. I think we need to go forward with them, and we can still negotiate with you, but you talked about until a couple of years ago, we didn't really have a problem with it. Well, we did what, 2023 or 4, we did ask to be put back on that within that have a representation on that. And the Board of Supervisors ignored us for what, 2 years?
Not quite, but
Not
yeah, it was
quite,
a long-
well, a long time until we finally had a passed resolution to take back that delegation, that right for representation. And then you still didn't talk to us. You formed your committee, but we didn't meet until we forced it. So I don't see where we have done everything we can to be able to work with Lake Oceana and with the Board of Supervisors. But it's not working. It's not. And so, in my opinion, we have no choice but to go forward with what's been recommended in these options.
Okay, thank you. One last comment from me. I think it shows that we felt like being ignored. And that's not a good thing. We said we need full disclosure, and the list of 6 items will provide us that. And then we need accountability of the district. We need to have some saying it to make sure that that happens. So I'm all for of implementing the 6 items that you have listed as options. So do we have concurrence in the council on that? Do you need to vote on that?
I would prefer to have a motion, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the 6 options presented in by City Manager Flora on page 4 of our of this item. That's the staff report, including if I can read them each, or we can just go with what numbers 1 through 6 of the thing that's headlined as options.
Yeah, I think it's clear if you're recommending just what's.
Okay.
Okay, we have a
Make
motion.
I second.
A second. Go to our portal. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you read the results of the vote?
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you all for coming for this item. It's important that you have your voice in here. All right. We'll go to City Manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, several items. So just a brief update on the sewer spill. We've been waiting on some additional cooling fans. Those were delivered to the county this week, and city staff will be delivering those to the remaining folks that didn't have them. I just got word during the meeting that the last system that we've been waiting on did clear its 2 tests. Other updates, Burns Valley Arrowhead Olympic road rehab project started today. So you'll see a lot of activity on that over the coming weeks. We opened bids on the Dam Road Roundabout project this afternoon. We got 3 bids. The low bid was 2.7 million, which is within our expected budget. So there's just a couple of things we're hoping to finalize from the funding agencies in the next couple of weeks. And excited to see that project move forward this summer. So it's going to be quite the zoo out there for a while, traffic wise, but we'll make sure everyone can still get to Walmart. In, yeah, in the college. Well, there's another way to get to the college too, if you have to.
As long as it's done by August before school starts.
I don't think that's gonna happen. The police department and code enforcement is working on a number of notices of violation for vegetation. So hopefully everyone's working to get their stuff cleaned up. It's been a number of years since we've had these, but our loan committee met last week and approved another homestead application. So that's the city providing funding for purchasing a parcel, building permit and other all permitting fees related to building a house in the city of Clearlake. So excited that we got another one of those going. Staff is working on a funding application through the SS4A federal program for the Lakeshore Drive Streetscape project. So that's due the end of this month. So there'll be a resolution on the next council meeting related to that. We received the fire hydrant testing data from Canocti Water Company last week. Haven't had a chance to review it yet, but Highland submitted theirs a while back, and Canocti submitted theirs, so that's good. I think you all know that we did take a couple of oak trees down in the park that were diseased as a result of Mediterranean oak borer beetle. Our city crews did a great job on that work. You also noticed when we took down last year on the other side of the street, right in that same area. K&R tree specialists, Kyle and Raphael, worked with Specialty Oaks. They donated and installed a new oak tree in that location. We are working with the county and the city of Lakeport to implement a number of things related to America's 250th celebration this year. So you'll see a few extra things around, primarily starting around Memorial Day and continuing through the summer related to that. Several of you attended the Valley Vista groundbreaking yesterday, which was a nice event commemorating the groundbreaking for another 80 units of housing in the city of Clear Lake up by the hospital. Also, our recreation department was presented with a check for $1,500 for our youth programs. So that was from the developer. Just a couple quick reminders to finish out. Our annual flag raising ceremony in Austin Park is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. It's always a great event. I think they have a few more things going on even than normal, with our school kids being there to help, veterans being involved. It's doesn't last too long, but it's a real fun and patriotic thing. And then this was in the Clear Lake newsletter. We'll be doing social media stuff, but the photo contest that we've been doing had 150 entries. And so starting next week, the public will be able to vote on their favorites with a number of prizes that have been donated by other folks that will go to those winning. So with that, that's my report.
All right, Council. Wonderful. You got anything to report?
Yeah, so today actually I attended a traffic safety committee meeting. And one of the big things that's going to be added is going to be a stop sign request form that'll be accessible by anybody on the website, and it'll kind of streamline the complaint request process so that our crews can, you know, figure out where the problem areas are and then get it back to the traffic committee to okay these and make sure that they fit into the box that it needs to check in order to install a new stop sign. So that's a big improvement, and that's my report.
Councilwoman Wilson.
I did attend the groundbreaking ceremony yesterday. It was breathtaking. The view up there is wonderful, and the fact that we're gonna have 80 new units is extraordinary. I attended the Lake County Continuum of Care general meeting this afternoon. There were a number of reports from different committees. want to point out that if you want to look at the pit count information, you can go to the Continuum of Cares website, because it's going to be put on the website very soon. One of the things that came that is one of the most disturbing things to me from one of the reports is that we have a gap of transitional housing for families, any kind of housing that's family friendly. And we need to work on on that. There were Heather Frawley did report that 96 individuals were totally housed and 15 permanently. I have to admit, I do not have the time frame on that, but I can get that if somebody wants to know about it. The Hope Center housed one person during the month of April. And the reason I pointed this out is the Hope Center is doing amazing work to help people change their lives. This individual is now employed with Adventist Health and is working as a community health worker at Project Restoration. They are at full capacity, and Hamilton Haven is also at full capacity. There were 2 grants that were awarded for the South Shore Shelter. That funding was awarded to the Hope Center, $300,000 to help them meet some costs that have gone up, mostly around food, by the way. And the so 630,000 was given to Hamilton Haven to promote, to keep their program going. And that's all I got.
All right. Councilman Kramer.
Due to personal issues, I have not had any meetings. Due to personal issues, I've not had any meetings the last 2 weeks, so I have nothing to report.
Vice Mayor Downing.
Just a few things to report. Like yesterday, I attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the Valley Vista Apartments. I did a speech in front of a lot of people.
Great.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, that was a very good experience and a lot of fun. Senator Mike McGuire was there too. And he expressed a lot of interest in Clearlake, and so hopefully we see him more. And then yesterday we had, today. Gosh, it seems like yesterday. We had the traffic safety committee meeting, as Councilmember Hooton stated. So the stop sign stuff will be presented to the council soon, so we can get a brief overview of what that entails. And then, yeah, we went over some hot areas of streets that we need to make more safe for people driving on the roads. So hopefully we could look more into that and implement some signage and yeah, so we plan to meet more than just twice a year. So we're hopefully going to meet at least every 2 months, we decided. So if there's any concerns with traffic or safety, just reach out to Councilmember Hooton or I, and we can address those. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Great. I went to the judging of the high school statistic and probability class. That was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Smart kids, man. Yeah, with innovative ideas. Let's see what else. I also attended the Valley Vista thing, and that's my report.
Mr. Mayor, just while I'm thinking about it, related to the Traffic Safety Committee, the public member appointee hasn't made it to the last couple of meetings, so just maybe you want to start thinking about someone who might be a little bit more engaged.
What's that?
We do. Is it the
Cheryl
whole council
Allman.
or just
Cheryl Allman?
She hasn't been made it?
No.
How about the lady that showed up there?
Yeah, she was there.
Well, I mean, that's, this isn't really the time to discuss it now. I
No,
just
no.
wanted to raise it for your awareness to think about. If you have any, it would be, I think you could make the appointment. So if other council members maybe have a suggestion, they could share it with
Okay.
you. And we could make the change, but it would be nice to have a public member that was part of that.
Sounds good. All right. Okay, with that, any future agenda items that we want to deal with? If not, we adjourn to closed session. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.